Hey, what's up, guys? So, as the title somewhat indicates, this is the medical kit that I am using on my Get Home bag. I've been really thinking about my Get Home bag as a system and how I've been using that system over the last 2 or 3 years and the adaptations and changes that that kit has gone through. And before kind of, I could do one long form video on the entire Get Home bag, but I think I kind of want to separate it here and look just more specifically at the med kit that I'm using. This fits my needs, and I feel like that what I have here in this kit is actually kind of a good middle ground, um, because I have a lot of the basic boo-boo things. Then I have a little bit more to supplement and to kind of carry me, um, in a medical situation. I, I really don't see myself ever having the complete loadout on my Get Home bag, um, like something that I would have in the vehicle, like a kind of more extensive trauma kit. I am not a medical professional, so there's a lot of equipment out there, especially in a lot of these IFAK kits, some of these Chinese kits or other, you know, tactical kits available to you on Amazon that have a bunch of different pieces of equipment um, that you're just not going to get basic training on in your first aid class. You can go above and beyond, and you can research the literature on how to use that information, and you can look at diagrams and videos and illustrations. But I think medical practice is kind of like one of those things that we almost kind of kid ourselves a little bit. I don't think reading a book is really good enough to get someone to a space where they're going to be able to use that equipment when the time comes, how they need to. So for me, um, do I need chest seals in my Get Home bag? Probably not. There are other pieces of equipment that I would kind of lump into that category as well. But the philosophy behind my Get Home bag is that what is an hour, 2 hour drive away um, is a 14 to 24 hour walk back. So I want to have enough with me that can sustain me um, over that period of time until I can get wherever I'm trying to go. So just jumping right into it, this is a product from Helikon-Tex. I have a lot of their products. I really like the quality and the price point of those products. If you're familiar with Maxpedition, I think the quality of Helikon-Tex is pretty darn. It's close to kind of that category. So where we're in a world of really cheap kind of airsoft, um, tactical gear and pouches and bags and stuff like that. Helikon-Tex is kind of it's a step above that. So it's actually, I think it's pretty well put together um, products, and they've served me really well. So this particular kit, I think this bag itself, um, at the time when I got it, it was around $30. So I don't know where it's at now. Things are going up. So I would just say in the price range, probably $30 to $40. As far as measurements are concerned, it's not that big. So we got about 3 inches there. We got about almost 5 inches on the length, and then this thing is packed full. I don't think you could get it any packed any tighter than this, and that's about 3 inches. So nice hook and loop on the front. This is kind of a reflective patch that's sewn in, so when light hits us, it does reflect. That's kind of a positive or a negative. I think if you were trying to be, if you were operating in an austere environment, you might not like this reflective patch, and you'd probably want to get something to cover that up. But little pull at the bottom, really nice zipper pulls, high quality. Don't have that cheap plastic tab on the end like you see on a lot of cheap nylon. You see here, there's our Helikon-Tex tab, designed in Poland, crafted in Vietnam. So really good MOLLE system. This hasn't failed me. This is kind of just like the webbing with like a dense piece of vinyl sewed sewed in the middle. This has been great. I haven't had any problems with the MOLLE system whatsoever. So let's go ahead and just kind of open this up so you can see what's inside there. So we have this kind of set up. Let's say I have this is the portion that has my gauze and my band-aids, and this is the side I don't really access very often. I usually kind of just put the quick access things in this side. So this is for my get home bag, but my get home bag goes with me everywhere, and it goes with me to work. It goes, I take it when I go to work, when I leave in my company vehicle, it comes with me. When I go home in my personal vehicle, I find myself even wanting to take this bag with me to the grocery store and just to like little trips, because I keep water in it at all times. It's kind of like my man purse. So, there's some places, I don't necessarily want to conceal carry a pistol. Like if I'm going to go to the playground with my kids and I know I'm going to be playing on the jungle gym or something like that, I know my shirt's going to come down and it's like, I want to have my bag, I want to have my pistol with me, I want to have my water and my stuff in it, forms. It is a backpack and it serves that utilitarian purpose as well as being a get home bag. I like that balance because it's a practical piece of gear, and it's not a chore to carry it. I'm not forcing myself to lug something around that's completely useless. So it's my EDC as well as my get home bag. So back to the kit. On this side, we have some basic stuff. I really like these containers, so buy them once and then you continue to refill them. So basic pain reliever stuff in here. Obviously I'm going to put in stuff that I like and that works for me. So we have, let's see if we could rotate this around here. So Advil, Tylenol, first aid burn creams. I need to actually refill these because these packets, I found out recently, have not fared too well. So I think the burn cream is still in there. The packaging is kind of separated. Nothing has oozed out. I think if I really needed it, I could probably, get that last drop, like of the tube of toothpaste, to get these out. But these are real cheap. These are like, you can get a box for like $4 on Amazon. So I'm going to get some more of these. I like these, and I try to cannibalize as many of the cheap first aid kits as I can to get these out, because they're just I'm not going to put a whole tube in there. These just save space. They're practical, so these are great. I got a few of these in there because this is such a tight container. It's not organized very well. You do kind of have to fiddle through it. But these things have come in handy. I have been the guy that's been the hero, um, being somewhere and there's a little kid that gets a bee sting, and it's just like, oh, well, I have this right here in my backpack ready to go. So triple antibiotic ointment, self-explanatory. A lot of this stuff is self-explanatory. Insect repellent, that's nice to have. More burn cream. Okay, I have this little roll of tape I've been holding on to here. This is going to be more for like the gauze and the things that's on this side. So Sting X pain relief pad. What else? Really nice set of metal tweezers. I wish you could find tweezers like this more readily, like in stores. I haven't been able to find more of these. I'd like to get some more of these. Actually, just cut like a little piece of vinyl tubing to kind of keep that side closed so it stays compact. I lost one side. You can see I still have it on here. So it's nice to have tweezers, like real tweezers and not Swiss Army knife tweezers, when you're actually trying to dig a splinter out of your hand. These are nice to have. So what do we have here? We have little electrolyte tabs. Haven't actually used these. I do like to carry liquid IV with me, and that's kind of my go-to electrolyte because I already have water. I can add it in. It tastes good. I appreciate it, but I guess in a pinch, in an emergency, having like these little electrolyte tabs is great. So more sting relief. Okay, so this is kind of a mixed bag. I don't really like this, but what I found is keeping, this is Benadryl and this is Sudafed. And I find both of these extremely useful. Benadryl has like 1,000 different uses. You know, it's an antihistamine, but it's also an anti-nausea. Um, it's a sleep aid, I guess. You know, this is not medical advice. It's just kind of the reality, guys. We know what it is. So, um, you know, the little foil packs that these came into, I found that the foil on the back would break, and then I just have loose medication in here, and I didn't like that. So, um, obviously, this is not just Benadryl, and I'd probably want to label this in case I had to tell someone else to fiddle through this and find something. But this is working. It hasn't failed on me, hasn't torn, and if this tears, I can just replace it with another one. So, makes sense. So, kind of some more important things here that you don't see in the real cheapo first aid kits. But I think for the purpose of a get home bag, one of the things that you have to consider is that you're going to be moving for an extended period of time. And I wear some really nice, you know, Garmont T8, I think is what they are, combat boots, and they're perfect boots for what I do for work. They're extremely comfortable, and I've hiked miles in them. I don't have an issue with blisters, but you know, your feet are going to get wet. Things are going to happen. You might wear holes in your socks, whatever. So having some type of blister bandage, um, I think is crucial. And along with the blister bandage is just some moleskin. Now these are like pre-perforated. I don't like how much these have kind of deteriorated over time in this bag. Like you can see this thing's pretty rough, but they're there. They're still usable. I think the adhesive is still good. So moleskin I think is important to have. Want to supplement this side with some other stuff. You know, got some Pepto-Bismol. There are definitely some things kind of in this realm that I feel like this kit is missing. Some, I'm not even going to try to pronounce it the correct chemical name, but Imodium, which is the anti-diarrhea medication um, that you can usually get, you know, over the counter anywhere. That I think would be a really important thing to add to this kit because talk about dehydration, man. Like you can have water, but if you're having like if you have diarrhea that you just can't kind of get rid of, and that's something that you're dealing with, and imagine in a situation where you're just trying to stay focused and having to try to deal with that would be absolutely terrible. So Imodium I think would be something good that would need to be added to this kit. I don't, you know, reading some things online, people are suggesting antibiotics. Those usually take days to kick in. That's not really a time frame that I'm working in for this get home bag, but I've had different types of cough and cold medication in there. I think that would be something good to add. Potentially something like caffeine pills. Um, I don't know if my standard coffee intake um, is well and above what you would get out of a caffeine pill, but you know, the caffeine pills don't seem to do much, you know, for me. But I guess if you're coffee addicted like I am, then having something to just avoid getting a terrible caffeine headache would probably be a good idea. So, uh, again, if you think that there's anything um, you know, if you think that some of this stuff is redundant, it kind of is. If you think there's anything else that I could manage to fit in here, that would be a good addition. I'm all ears. So I'm just going to scoot this stuff aside, and I'm going to spare you the time of watching me stuff everything back in here. So you're not going to see that. But on this side, so we actually have some real, I guess, more medical things in here. Extremely old Band-Aids. Um, yeah, don't go through these very fast because they are boo-boos, and I guess I'm more likely to brush those types of things off. But you know, I think if we're in a more of a survival situation, I think it's pretty important to take advantage of simple bandages because you're not going to have access to soap, to running water, to clean water, and you're probably going to want to try to prevent an infection while you can. So I don't go through these very often. Um, I'm glad that they're there. Do I need this many? Probably not. I'll probably cut back on this. And I might actually swap these out with some new ones just because this paper is getting a little ratty. Maybe I can find a way to have these sit a little bit more uniform. Maybe I can get a little Ziploc bag or something, put these in. You got to try to balance though, you know, like you want immediate access. I don't want to have to get to a bag to open a pouch, get to another bag to open something up, but this is kind of a mess. I really don't like the organization here. I do like how many there are because it's so plentiful. It's like one of those things I don't have to, you know, and why I have like this whole huge bottle is because I use this stuff, you know, and it's like I don't want to have to try to check this thing every month to replenish it. Having kind of an overabundance is nice. If I can remember once a year to come back and it's like swap out these bandages, great. But I think if I can have more rather than less, then I'm going to opt to do that. So, what are these? Butterfly closures. I've never used one of these ever in my life. Um, yeah, so I guess pretty bad knife wound. Not bad enough you need gauze, but kind of a deep slice, you're probably going to want something like these. I would probably just throw some duct tape on there, but these are nice to have. So alcohol prep pads because you need to clean your boo-boos, guys. Let's make sure that they are sterile. So now, this is kind of contentious for me because I probably don't ever need this. These are sutures. So this is one hook connected to, I'm assuming 75 centimeters worth of nylon stitching line. You know, the thought I had when I initially purchased these in like a 5-pack is I might have to give myself stitches in the field out there somewhere. Well, realistically, I've come to find stitches are really for the healing process and not really for kind of stopping the bleed. So, in that sense, these are probably useless. But in experimenting with this, I did find that this makes a damn good improvised fish hook because the way that they attach that's, you know, the nylon for your stitches, that material to this hook is insane. It's not a normal eye, right? It's like that nylon is embedded and compressed inside this tube. So taking a pair of pliers, which I carry a Leatherman on me every day, you can improvise a fishing hook out of this pretty quickly, and I think that's sick. Just tearing, like trying to pull this apart, dude, you cannot break that nylon. And so I was like, wow, this is even more robust than, you know, fishing hook and fishing line of this size. So it serves a use. I haven't thrown it out just yet, but I only have one, and it's for that reason. So, okay, digging deeper, we have Silver X wound dressing gel. I believe you can also use this for burns, first and second degree burns, sunburns, skin irritations, abrasions, lacerations. Yeah, so you get a boo-boo. This will definitely help make it feel much better. I wish I had more of these. This is like one of those things that it's like it's hard to buy off the shelf, right? You can make a whole shopping list for Amazon, and you end up spending like $200 to get, you know, 24 of these. But um, I like to scavenge first aid kits when I can, and if the contents are relatively new and in good condition, then I'll take them. And this was one of those items. So thanks, work first aid kit. All right, sterile gloves because that's important. I don't expect to be working on anybody else, but in the event, I guess I absolutely had to. Sterile gloves. Can you imagine someone's bleeding out? You're like, one moment while I put my sterile gloves on. So, little gauze roll, not a real big one, 4x4 yards. You could stuff a wound with this, kind of a deeper laceration, right? Like, so we're moving up from this butterfly closure, and you have a kind of a pretty deep gouge. So you could wound stuff with this stuff right here, or at 4 yards, you should be able to use this for a compression. I wish I could fit another one of these in this kit, but alas, it is what it is. More gauze pads, and I would probably, these are just kind of like your smaller gauze pads, so these would probably be used in conjunction with whatever kind of field tape I have with me or something to improvise keeping this on as a larger bandage. Right now it's this. Yeah, I don't keep duct tape with me, but that might be a good idea, duct tape or electrical tape. This is kind of puny too. If I can find a better alternative to this, maybe some tape that already comes packed flat, that would be great. So, um, yeah, I assume one day when I actually come and I need this tape, it's gonna the adhesive on it, right, is already kind of starting to bleed out on the side. So I might look at actually trying to replace this tape with better product. So this is a refresher, guys. You know, like I said, this is the medical kit that I've had. I've had this medical kit probably for 2 years, and I've had it for a year on my get home bag. So, all right, and finishing us out here, we have some more small gauze pads. Do I need this many? I don't know, but they fit. So, and then lastly, kind of for a serious wound, you know, this was in a larger vacuum sealed bag, but this is North American Rescue compressed gauze. So I don't know the dimensions on this, but there's quite a bit of gauze here. So this is what I have. You know, that's a lot of stuff in there. Really, it kind of is. Let's see if I can kind of zoom out here a little bit. So this is what I have. In my bag, I do have a tourniquet, and I will probably try to squeeze in, if I can kind of modify some things to where it makes sense. I do want to try to get an Israeli bandage in there somewhere. Um, I think, yeah. So I'm rocking these cheapos. So yeah, This is where the online hate is going to come from right here. This is Rhino Rescue China #1. Um, this is their kind of knockoff Israeli bandage, but it was affordable, and I'm poor, and it's kind of like one of those things that it's like, if this is 75% as effective, um, and the difference is it's affordable, so I get it, or it's not affordable, so I don't get it at all. I'm gonna take the 75% chance that this will be just as effective as the legitimate kind of higher quality product. Where that becomes even more contentious is when we look at tourniquets. Now, the one that I actually keep, this is just a spare, because these are so relatively inexpensive that I could buy, 20 of these at a time and kind of give them away as gifts and have one in every vehicle and have multiple of these. So, kind of the same thing. At the time of filming this, I can go get a North American Rescue Cat tourniquet for $30. So, yeah, again, it's kind of like one of those things that we all have priorities. We all have budgets that we're working in. Um, I don't know if I could jump and spend $30 to make sure I have a tourniquet in every single bag in every single vehicle. And I know this is a life-saving device, and you wouldn't want to gamble your life on something that could fail. From the research that I have performed, some people have torture tested these and found them to be as effective. Other people I know out there, there's other people that say no, not at all, never going to trust my life on that. And so I don't know. If I have the opportunity to upgrade these, I will. But right now, this is what I have. So while it's not in this kit, I do have a tourniquet. It is in my get home bag. It's in another compartment. I'm actually trying to figure out how I can actually do an outside mount on this, for the tourniquet now, just kind of a little bit better access. And I would like to supplement with our knockoff Chinese Israeli bandage. So this is what I got. Um, yeah, let me know what you think. This video is definitely a lot longer than I anticipated, but I rant quite a bit. So if you like my ranting, let me know. If you don't, feel free to also let me know. If you have any ideas how I can improve this, I'm all ears, guys. I'm not an expert. I've tried to figure this out as much as I can. Kind of the only prepper in my friend group, so now I'm looking for you guys to really bounce ideas off of. But as far as equipment goes, this is a great bag. I love it. I love Helikon-Tex's stuff. I'm a shill for Helikon-Tex. They do not sponsor me, but if they want to, I'd love that. Um, Thanks, guys. Let me know. We'll see you next time.